We're just going to start off by saying Happy Love Weekend. I guess we can call it that now.
Number love everywhere for everybody to everybody. You hear me?
I know you've been out there spreading the love all weekend long.
Come on, man. I've been walking around with roses and granting them to everybody that need one.
That's what he do. Michael Crockett and Dr. Crockett is in the building.
Yes, sir.
We got to start it off every week. We say it's tax season.
And it's raining checks for everybody. Right now, I'm giving up to $6,000 same day. You can have a Zoom meeting with me, and then we're going to send a wire to you up to $6,000 to your account. We can get it to you that fast. That's what we're doing, and we're going to make sure that you get your maximum refund.
Maximum, and it definitely means that we got to do it. We got our friend back in the building. Bishop Dixon is in the building with us, so you know we got to do it. When you see the C,
you know it's me, and when you hear the C, it's Crockett and
AV, and then Bishop, you got to do it your way.
It's going to always be Adam JD.
Yeah.
Pastor of the Community of Faith, of course, president of the NAACP Houston chapter as well, and excited to have you in the building. I know so many great things that's coming on. Of course, we got the gala coming up as well, but how was last Saturday's event?
Oh, the installation was incredible, and then the NAACP installation was incredible. Michael Crockett was there. It was at the historic Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, 500 Clay downtown, founded in 1866. Reverend Jack Yates. I mean, all that history was there, and one of the amazing experiences we had. And then, of course, we shot right over the Community of Faith Church for the Health, Food, Fitness, and Fun Fest.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was incredible. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people. All the mixed cultures were there, diverse cultures. And Crockett, of course, was there with his mobile unit. And Crockett, that display of commitment to healthcare in our community comprehensively, from medicine to food, nutrition, and exercise, was something super to see.
Not only was that amazing, the beautiful thing that I loved about it was the immediate access to health care for the community. Mm-hmm. You could come out, you could get a screening, right? If you didn't have health insurance, you could get health insurance right on the spot. He had Rodney Ellis sent out the Harris County Health people. It was Harris County had like 3 vans.
Yes, sir. Well, you know they do it.
You understand? Yeah. Or they don't do it at all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It was a beautiful thing, man. Yeah, and then me and Dixon rode through the bike trail.
I was just going to ask y'all, I saw them bikes out there.
Yeah. We had to ride bikes, and they underestimated me. Literally, they thought I was going to be at risk.
Come on now.
And but they don't know that, I still got my stuff.
Well, for some reason, people don't think we were ever young. I don't know where it comes from.
Well, look, and I'm still youthful.
Yes, say it again.
I'm riding my horse tomorrow.
Okay,
and I did the bike with a suit on.
With his suit and his gaiters. He was.
That sounds like something Michael Crockett would do.
Come on, baby. Really. I truly am from Memphis now.
Yeah. So we're excited. We honor a history maker every week inside Crockett and Son. Let's talk business with Crockett and AV. So y'all got to introduce this wonderful young lady who is here with us this morning, and definitely a history maker, we know.
Oh man, she one of the greatest, man. Dr. Ruth Simmons. Truly world-renowned. Her accolades precede her, for real. And she brings it all the way home with being a pillar of Prairie View University. You hear me?
Yeah, listen, Dr. Ruth, I'm a product of Texas Southern University, so I'll let you have that. I'll let you have that PV moment. Yeah. But we're going to set that to the side because you do a lot of stuff with social justice and, of course, civil rights here in the Houston and the surrounding areas. Just give us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, let me say that, Texas Southern is okay.
Go Tigers.
But it's not PV.
Thank God. We don't have a lot of cows and chickens out. We updated over there.
Well, there's power in those cows and chickens.
I got you, Dr. Okay. I like how you come back.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I was born in East Texas, and my family moved to Houston when I was 7 years old, and we moved to Lee Street in 5th Ward.
Yeah.
It was right behind the railroad yard that everybody's talking about
right
today.
Now, yeah.
Right. And so I grew up in 5th Ward and went to school at Atherton. And E.O. Smith, and at the mighty Phyllis Wheatley.
Well, you didn't have to put the mighty on it.
Well, not Jack Yates.
Watch this. No, I went to Worthing, though. I went to
the mighty Phyllis Wheatley.
Yeah, she put the mighty right back on it.
Where my mother matriculated.
Yes.
She was there.
The mighty Phyllis Wheatley. Yes.
The mighty.
Yes. The mighty Phyllis Wheatley. The same place that Mickey Leland, Barbara Jordan.
We could go on.
We don't have time.
I could go on a lot of names too, but I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna let y'all have your shine.
Dr. Matthew Plummer. I mean, we can just go on. Continue, Doctor.
In any case, that was my formation. That community of Fifth Ward, which was so unified at the time because of deep segregation, of course, but nevertheless, the benefits of being in that community at that moment really was, I can't even describe how immensely important that was to me in my development. All the people who cared, all the people who were committed to advancing the rights of African Americans right there together, in it together.
Right.
I didn't think I had much of a chance of doing anything in life because that's, after all, what everybody told us at the time. But here were these visionary educators who said, it's not true. Okay? Prepare yourself as if the world is going to change. It wasn't changed then, but they wanted us to be prepared. So I always say, so after that, I went on to college and graduate school.
God bless your heart for going through PV.
Let me also say that, Dr. Ruth, if you will, talk about your faith journey, your faith foundation, because I know that's.
Well, I mean, that was everything, as you know. When I was growing up, you were nothing if you did not have a faith identity, and if you did not walk in it, not spout it, walk in it. And so my mother and father were very devout and raised us to believe that we were worth something because we were God's children. And it didn't matter what people said to us, okay, because they said a lot. Walking down the street, people would, gratuitously pass by and yell nigger or whatever. But it didn't matter. None of that mattered because we were insulated in the armor of our faith. And so that meant everything. And my students often ask me, well, how did you get through those horrible times?
That's what I want to know.
And they can't figure that out. And I think a lot about that. And what I have to conclude is, because it wasn't on my mind what everybody was saying couldn't be done.
What you said something earlier that made a lot of sense. You talked about not only the education from the household, your parents, how they raised you, the community love. You talked about the educational journey that you went on, and then about being connected to your community. So were those the things that isolated you, kept you from focusing on the noise that was surrounding you?
That was everything. And of course, everybody wants to, point out that at the time I came along and became a university president, they want to point out, well, how odd that was. How did it feel to be the first black president of Smith and the first Ivy League university president? I mean, didn't you feel alone, and didn't you feel lonely and worried? And no.
That's powerful.
Because I was not dwelling in that world. I was dwelling in here. Thankful to the community that made me, and that prepared me for that, although they didn't know that they were preparing me for that, and I certainly didn't know that they were. But in the end, when I started something at Brown, I decided to look into the slave history of Brown University, and of course everybody said that was my end. At that moment, I had lost my mind, and that I was certainly going to lose my job and everything else. And these were black people saying that. And because I had dared to step on that third rail and say, let's tell the truth about the past. And I don't know. I just thought the rightness of it
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
was what we learned,
Yes.
right?
Yes, of course.
In our
Yes.
faith journey.
Yes.
That's right.
Let's tell the truth, as you said.
Just tell the truth.
Yes.
Just tell the truth. And that's what kept me going. And of course, now 20 years later, everybody's imitating that and
Praise
saying
God.
how brave it was. It wasn't brave. It was just doing what was right. So
was right.
teaching our young people how valuable that is in a lifetime's journey
Yes.
to know that at every turn you've tried to do what was right
yeah.
is the most amazing experience, and we want to encourage
That's
that.
the question. And I have a plethora of questions I want to ask.
Before you ask that, I have to say, does anyone have any question as to why she is the 2025 recipient of the George Meekin Leading Humanitarian Award for the NAACP?
I'll say no, but I know you got an answer for it. I'll say no because it's just listen. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, that by itself, we've heard already. Crockett says we have to lift this kind of individual up.
Yeah.
And I have to say, even on a pedestal, Jesus talks about the city on a hill that cannot be hidden.
Yes,
it gives light to the light. You don't put it under a bushel. And for this kind of light to be in our community,
yes, Lord,
we intend to take the bushel off, if you will, so that others can be illuminated.
Right.
Children, young people need to hear and know this story, that no matter where you start,
not just this story, this resource.
this resource
Need
and
to see
this
that this
life
person is moving and
Yes.
moving in the community,
Yes.
touchable,
Coming
and talking
from
to
the
you,
hood.
coming straight up out of the community
Yes.
you born in,
Yes.
and then becoming the great person that she is. That to me, the influencer of the globe that she has become.
Absolutely.
It's so. Again, I have a plethora of questions. That leads into a question, but I gotta ask this one first. What would you say to a young person today if you were standing in front of a 15-year-old boy? Shout out to Little Crockett. What would you say to inspire them, our young people, to connect with doing what they need to do, following the path to be as great as they believe they can be?
Well, I would say the first thing we have to do is insulate them from what we know they're going to encounter
Yes, Lord.
year after year,
Yeah,
day after day,
Yeah.
in every part.
That's powerful.
We have to insulate them. And the only way to do that is to focus on who they are profoundly. What is the makeup of that individual, and to help them understand. I'm so grateful to my mother and father who taught us never ever think what somebody else says about us is as important as what we think of ourselves.
Yeah.
Period.
Okay.
As what
So
we
building
think,
that
say and believe
within.
about us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the fortitude that they need. These are the years when we're doing that. It's saying to them, don't worry about all that noise.
Right.
Don't worry about all that social media. Worry about who you are profoundly.
Yes.
And that will take you far.
Wow.
I always like to say to people, for example, they make a big deal about being, the first African American president of an Ivy League university, but I always say, no, that's not it. What you need to know is I am a Fifth Ward kid who became president of an elite university. That's what you need to know.
The journey.
Okay?
Yeah.
It is the journey from where you are, whatever you are, whatever your circumstances, to where you're going is all about who you are in here.
Yes.
That's what's going to take you there.
Beautiful.
We all live out of our self-perceived identity.
Yes.
Right?
Come on now.
You cannot escape the orientation you have of yourself.
Self-perceived.
And if your orientation is based on falsity, then you'll live a false narrative.
Of course.
Right? And never
Of course.
discover the real substance of your essence because you're living from a false script.
Beautiful.
That is that is so amazing, Crockett, because we teach kingdom identity, kingdom authority, kingdom territory. Help people to understand you are who your creator made you to be.
Right.
now your self-discovery, of that is important, and there are powers at work to make sure you do not.
Let me say this and pause you because I want you to run by that because that's a powerful statement. When you talk about the self-discovery, not the self-inflicted wound we put on ourselves or who we think we are, but the self-discovery of who the Maker has made us to be, because a lot of people skip that. We try to identify ourselves based upon our own understanding.
Absolutely. You're a spirit being living in a body and made in the image and likeness of the divine, right? The creator author who is the genius of geniuses. So in you, you have those divine attributes.
Right.
But when you discover that and live out of that orientation, then there are no impossibilities.
Right.
But if we take our scripts from those who have contrived a narrative that misidentifies us in order to dominate us and control us and diminish us, then all of a sudden your power becomes powerless.
Right.
And what I'm listening to Dr. Ruth talked about here is in Fifth Ward, she was insulated because people around her, started with her parents and her community, told her the truth about herself.
True.
And she lived out of that truth then and does to this very day because nobody can make her back down. Doctor.
No.
I mean, this is what I hear. You don't want to.
You can tell that. Bishop, what about the gala? Give me information on the gala too. I know she's going to be honored.
Oh, we're so excited that the Houston chapter of the NAACP is hosting our annual Freedom Fund Gala on Friday night, February 21st at the fabulous Hilton Americas Hotel and in downtown Houston, and Dr. Ruth Simmons is the honoree of the night.
Yes.
Now, I got to tell you that the theme that was selected this year is her story on this justice journey.
Yeah.
And so we're honoring women, all women this year.
That's the agenda.
You know, they voted Kamala down. What a woman. What a mind. But we've got women right here
in our city
who are history makers. Dr. Ruth Simmons is one of those. Janice Weaver is one of those.
Yes, Lord.
Janice Crawford Howard.
Yes, Lord.
Howard Crawford, who owns the only black-owned cemetery in the state of Texas.
Wow.
It's owned by a black woman here in Houston. And so we're going to honor her at the Houston Memorial Gardens. We're also honoring that night, Judge Vanessa Gilmore. First female federal black judge in Houston. So listen, that night is going to be star-studded. You ought to bring your family, buy a ticket, go to NAACPHouston.org and purchase a ticket or sponsor a table. Come out and meet these individuals, these women who have made history and are making history and creating a greater destiny and legacy for our children. Please understand, the Freedom Fund Gala is the way you fund freedom.
Yes.
The Freedom Fund Gala is the way you fund freedom. So
now,
be sure and do that.
And I have to say this about that. The NAACP is out in the community taking care of the people. We are standing where you cannot stand. If you can't stand for yourself, we're standing for you. When you can stand for yourself, we're standing with you to make sure that the injustices that are trying to be done in our community toward us get disputed and get confronted and get agitated until there's some negotiation, and then we turn this situation around to benefit the culture. So with that said, if you want to support that type of movement, we need you guys to go ahead and purchase a ticket. It's so many things to be said now that it's very challenging to do all of this in one episode. I got to ask you, Dr. Ruth, when it comes to the gala and you being honored, which this entire show has been all about, what does it mean to you? Because it's a well-deserved recognition. But what does it mean to you to be honored by the NAACP, which is your community?
Well, when I came back to Houston, I retired from my position at Brown. I came back to Houston, being prepared to be retired.
Oh, wow.
And somebody said, but they need you at Prairie View.
Absolutely.
And so I went to Prairie View. And then people said, well, what on earth is that all about? How can you go to Prairie View after you've been at an Ivy League university? Well, they don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand how meaningful it is for us to embrace who we are and our obligations to ourselves and our community.
Right.
And to be proud of that. And to be honored by institutions that represent African Americans there's no greater honor for me. I would take that, I dare say, over any honor that I have been extended. And to be the recipient of the Mickey Leland Humanitarian Award, it overwhelms me, frankly, and I'm so humbled by it and so grateful for it, because the worst thing in the world is to achieve what you think of as success and fame, and then to be shunned by your community.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
And
so to be embraced by my community, there is nothing more important to me than that.
Wow.
Well, Crockett, I got to say this too, on behalf of the NAACP. Dr. Ruth, the reason your community embraces you is because you never diminish your embrace of your community. And that
the
is
connection.
Yes. Unfortunately, there are other examples of people who, they get a few things done, they elevate,
get some accomplishments,
and
then choose to go
and they
another
get
route.
awarded in other places, and they esteem those awards as more noteworthy, significant, and substantive than that which they can receive from their own communities.
Yes, sir.
I want to, and I'm sure I'm speaking of all of us, just thank you.
Yes. Period.
For this model of not forgetting. Of not forgetting. God kept saying to the children of Israel, you forgot. I brought you out of Egypt. You forgot I brought you through. It's amazing how easy it is to get selective amnesia. And some people who were raised in Fifth Ward or Acres Homes or Sunnyside, that's no longer in their conversation. But thank you for modeling that. I know you don't need thanks because it's just who you are. But I am saying thank you. Because if there were ever time we needed people who still remain grounded to know that there are other little girls, other little black boys who need to know you can be it, you can do it, starting from where you are.
Starting from where you are.
Yes.
And never leaving.
And never leaving where you are.
Your community.
That's the thing right there.
Yes.
That connection of never leaving your community, because I believe full circle, you gotta come back home. I think as you talked about community and just family, you always, the number one thing was you had to come back home.
Yes.
And a lot of us have missed that. See, if you come back home, you can see what's going on.
Absolutely.
You can see the condition of the situation, and for you to go from the Ivy League to come back to Prairie View, the HBCU, shows that you didn't avoid going back home to help students to go to this next level as you walk this same path yourself. And that's important because, and I say this, Dr. Simmons, your voice to me sounds so familiar. And the reason I say that is because it sounds like the generation of the people who influenced me. That I don't hear in a lot of places anymore. So it's like when we first met you, it's like that voice is just familiar because it feels like home. And talk about the importance of service in our community, going back home.
Well, first of all, when I think back to my youth, I think back to all the people who reached out to me and helped me who didn't have to.
And that was usual. People took care of you for nothing. Man, I went to the store. I had an issue at the 7-Eleven. My granny got a call from the person at the register at the 7-Eleven. They called my grandmama and said, Crockett is up here doing something wrong. She tell them, give him the phone. At the 7-Eleven, hand me get all the way to the house right now.
Sir.
So now they walk.
It's a
to the house.
It's a hard walk home, Doc.
Today it's very challenging for the man at the corner store to even have the grandmama's number.
Well, the man at the corner store may not know your culture either.
No, and that's
Come on now.
It's true. It's true. But all those people who helped. So how could you do less in view of that than to try to do it yourself? How could you? And respect yourself. I don't understand. So the first thing I did when I came back to Houston first was to go back to Fifth Ward and to Hester House. And to ask, what can I do here? because Hester House was the place.
Come on now.
That gave us all kinds of opportunities that we otherwise would not have had. And so I continue to be involved with Hester House. I just made it possible for some funding of the children's room there, the computer room. This is what we live. This is what we do. It's not extra. It's not extraordinary. It is the routine of our lives to be there and to sign up for things that need to get done.
You just said something so paramount in today's time for organizations. And I see you, Bill. You have climbed to where you have climbed. You came home. You tapped into the same organization that helped you. And then you assisted the organization in getting access to funding for them to continue to be a blessing in the same community for the next generation. We have to come back to the churches that we grew up in, that poured into us to make us who we are, and we got to assist them in getting access to funding to be able to do the same thing for the next generation. We got to come back to every organization that benefited us in our communities to keep them going for the next generation. I want to truly appreciate you for everything that you do, but especially that, because that is what covers the next gen. That's what grace look like, man.
Yeah.
What does a grace covering look like? It look like what Dr. Ruth is doing.
Give the information for the gala again.
Listen, this is the Houston NAACP Annual Freedom Fund Gala, February 21st, Hilton Americas Hotel downtown. That night is going to be spectacular. We're honoring Dr. Ruth Simmons with the George Leland Humanitarian Award. Go to the HoustonNAACP.org, HoustonNAACP.org for more information, for tickets. Individual tickets, $300. There's a party after the dinner. You don't want to miss it. We're going to party hard, and I'm telling you, it's going to be major.
It's going to be good. It's going to be fantastic. Mike, before we go, Trust and Wheels, got about 30 seconds. We always talk about Trust and Wheels. Want everybody to make sure that they are covered. Mike, give the number and just a little bit of information on it as well.
Our number, the same main office number, 281-576-9119. It's so many of us out here losing our property to the state behind probate. We have access to your trust, access to the wills that will assist you. I'm going to say this: if you're about to lose your property and you need some help, do the probate. You don't know how to deal with it, call the office. If you are paying your taxes but you don't know how to transfer the deed because the family left the property to you, give us a call. 281-576-9119. We're gonna help y'all in every way we can.
Dr. Simmons, Bishop Dixon, thank y'all for coming on Let's Talk Business with Crockett and AV.
Always.
Thank you.